All right, everybody, welcome to Crown Council Live.
Hey,
Hey, Gregor, I'm grateful to have you. I'm in a little different spot today. I am broadcasting from home. This is not a hotel, so yeah, not in the old Crown Council studios. Gregor, how are you today?
I am outstanding.
Yeah, very
Happy
good.
Thursday.
You know, I wanted to lead the program here with a momentous occasion that happened yesterday in the Crown Council office. Greg came into our meeting and let us all know that for the first time in in 30 years, the Crown Council no longer has a functioning fax number. So for everybody out there who's trying to fax to Crown Council,
It's over.
it's over.
It's no longer there. The fact that we had not received a fax for 6 months may have had something to do with that decision. But yeah, fax machine's gone.
Fax machine's gone. We're in the process of removing everyone's fax number from our database. So man, a thing of the past. No more faxes. So we are that's it. We're done.
We're in the electronic world. It's here.
Hey, so the Smiles for Life whitening campaign has come to a close. We spent a few minutes on it the last couple episodes here of the live stream, talking about how grateful we are for everyone's donations and service, our Ultradent partners, and also the different ways that you can contribute to Smiles for Life moving forward. Even though the whitening campaign is done, we are organizing and counting and putting all the money together, and shipped off some letters to everybody with your totals. Greg, do you want to talk about those letters, what they should expect in the mail?
Yeah, so everybody should have received those by now. If you didn't receive it, you should call us. Because those letters have been out now since the 1st of August. But they listed on there the total amount of contributions we'd received through August 1, the name of your local charity where we're going to write the check to, and the amount of that, the number of kits that you ordered from Ultradent, the number of kits that we believe you used, and the number of kits you would be responsible to pay for if you did not use them all, which needs to be done before we can send the local charity check. And then we have put on there a date of August the 18th, which is a week from tomorrow. So if there are any mistakes or things that you need to clarify, we would like to solve all of that by a week from tomorrow. And that will give us time then to start the process of writing all of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of local charity checks. And it's really helpful to do that just one time. Every once in a while we have to do it twice, but you're right, Stuart, sense of immense gratitude for every dollar that was raised. It is, $1.5 million is a lot of money. And sometimes we get, and we've been doing this 26 years, sometimes we get a little callous to that, I think, but that is an amazing effort by a lot of people. And it's really fun to write all those checks and see all the good that's being done. So way to go, everybody.
Yeah, we made a list earlier in the campaign about what makes the Smiles for Life whitening campaign successful. And there's 3 key partners that each have to be willing to give: the patient, obviously, who pays, the dental team who donates their time and services, and Ultradent, who donates the whitening products. There are some very interesting key players that make it possible for Smiles for Life whitening to take place, for which if one piece was removed, it would not work. So I was not joking, but saying Greg and I have competed in many charity golf tournaments, and the amount of work and effort and time that goes into some of these charitable campaigns to raise a couple $1,000, to sit back and think that $50 million has been raised by the people of the Crown Council over the last 26 years is really, I never want to say that flippantly as if it's just a a thing. So very crazy. It's very grateful for everybody. So anyway, very good. Any other updates, Greg, from your side for housekeeping items?
No, the only other thing I would say with Smiles for Life is we need to be sure that we are getting an accurate reconciliation of the kits. COVID-19 created a little bit of a hiccup there where we can't return any of those kits to Ultradent, so they need to be purchased, and they do make a good deal for us to do that, but that does need to be reconciled. And if you have a challenge with any of that, you can just call Erin here and she'll help walk through it. But yeah, I mean, the big thing, I think, the big announcement, I think, really is we have no fax number.
Very, very, very,
I mean, I think that's the big announcement.
very important. So moving forward with Smiles for Life, your practice can hopefully start to make a plan to prepare Smiles for Life giving and for your doing good strategy to take place throughout the year. So maybe take a little break here from Smiles for Life Whitening for a bit and figure out a way to once again ramp up your doing good strategy, whether it's with trays or we've seen practices plan 5Ks, motorcycle rides, white parties, you name it. Be involved in your community, because the best dental practices are always the ones who are giving and finding ways to do good together. So let's continue your Smiles for Life efforts. And on August 1st, the money raised from August 1st forward will count towards next year's whitening
That's
campaign,
right.
next year's Smiles for Life campaign. So always a good thing to get a jump on it. Very good.
And
Hey,
we've had those coming in. They're already building on next year.
yeah. I'm going to share my screen real quick before we have our first resource partner. So you can see my screen here. This is the Crown Council's annual event. You'll hear Greg and I kind of beat this drum from now until January, that this is your opportunity to gather with the Crown Council membership, the Crown Council partners, and be part of one of dentistry's finest team building, and as it says there, learning experiences. What a great time to gather your team and go on a little camping experience together in Austin, Texas, and hear some of the best in the business from speakers, our resource partners who will do lunch and learns, the recognition that we'll do at night. And now is the time to sign up. This is kind of when we see the big influx of registrants who, the hotel will fill up, the meeting will sell out. So now is the time to get registered and be part of the annual event. So this is just on crowncouncil.com. That's where you'll go to register and learn more about the annual event. So
Yeah, we've still got about 100 seats left. So
nice. Great.
that's good. We got a beautiful hotel. It's got a little more room in it, and got about 100 places. If you're on the fence, this would be a good time.
Very good. All right, DJ's telling me we've got our first guest. We've got a couple guests today on the show. Our first guest is resource partner CareStack. We're going to welcome them into the meeting, and I'm not sure who is joining us from CareStack, so we'll wait for them to come in.
It's Dan Hall.
But we're grateful for CareStack as a resource partner, and thankful to learn a little bit about them today. So let's see who's coming in. We're getting quite a crew here coming in from CareStack. Look at you guys. Hey Dan, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Good afternoon. How you doing?
We're doing very good. Grateful to have you here on the Crown Council live stream. Thankful that you guys would join us. So you're broadcasting with the rest of the Crown Council membership, and we're grateful to have you guys as a bit of the part of the resource partner group, and to learn a bit about CareStack today. I don't know who to turn the time over to now. Are we turning Dan? Are you going to take us away here?
Yeah, I'll take it away. I mean,
Okay,
nice to meet you all. Appreciate you inviting us today to the Crown Council.
You bet, Dan. Will you tell us a little bit about just a brief elevator introduction to what CareStack does?
Yeah, absolutely. So CareStack is a 100% cloud-based practice management software designed to run the complete dental practice. And typically we find ourselves helping practices, get away from that siloed out, software fatigue of having five to six different systems to run the practice. We also find ourselves helping them collect their insurance money faster and scheduling more high value treatment by bringing it into that single ecosystem.
Very good. And
Condensed version of what we do. Yes.
that's good. There's a lot. I mean, I'm not familiar with all of the practice management softwares out there, but maybe from your experience, what are some reasons why our top practices are looking for new practice management software? Why would we switch? Why is that a thing that's happening?
Sure. No, yeah, that's a good question. I get that quite often. One of the top reasons I see is individuals that are frustrated with the multiple systems, and not necessarily the point where they have to go to one system to the other, but what tends to happen, actually, I was just on a call with a practice owner, is they add that system and maybe there's a message from a patient sitting in there via chat, or maybe they booked an online appointment, but it doesn't go back to the source system and nobody attends to it, right? So now there's a frustrated patient. With all good intentions, they had the idea of adding that component for them to message the practice easier, but somebody didn't see it, right? Because they're running pretty lean in some practices today with some of the labor shortages, et cetera. So that's one of the top reasons we see. And then again, those who want to schedule more treatment as well too is another top reason we see practices making that switch over to a new system.
Got it. Gregor, any follow-up question there?
No, keep going.
Okay.
Good elevator speech.
There is a bit of a shift with the pandemic, using software, using technology to grow their practice. Post-pandemic, what are some of the things that practices are doing to grow their practices using software?
Yeah, so I mean, you put it well there as far as some of the components they had to adopt during the pandemic. I'd say some of the top ones is that they were really good at having them stick, right? Having to drive people to a patient portal so they're not in a waiting, because there was no waiting room, depending on the state that the practice was located. So getting individuals to go out to that portal, fill out their forms ahead of time, do their curbside check-in. So some of my practices have gotten really good at getting that to stick and getting the high 60% of their patients to come in with everything completed, check themselves in the car. So essentially they're able to walk into the practice and go straight back to a chair. And now they have a good amount of data to where they're seeing, we're seeing a lift in our, revenue, given that we're saving that, 7 to 10 minutes that was normally spent sitting in the waiting room is now being eliminated. They're doing that at home.
Nice.
I'd say nothing too earth shattering when it comes to the technology side, just that behavior change. I would say was the biggest impact that I've seen.
Yeah, we've seen the same. Very
Yeah.
good.
Oh, you same thing on your side?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about just basic changes in the way that a practice serves a patient.
Mm-hmm.
Especially post-pandemic, a lot of ways that our practices are now treating people different, that are good, that are offering a better care experience for a patient. So yeah, very good. Dan, if you are gonna talk to I don't know if you go to trade shows or whatever, but when a customer comes to you and says, I have a current dental practice management software, how is CareStack different, or what are you saying to a person who's like, listen, I don't need a new system here? How do you guys match up, or how is it different? Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, we definitely can. So yeah, let's just open it up. Not many people wake up in the morning and say, hey, let's tear the practice management software out,
Right.
because I want my staff to show
Puts
up
me
at my
into
house.
a coma.
Exactly. So usually what we have to do is we just have to have a conversation, right, Stuart and Greg, to find out what could CareStack potentially help out with to maybe solve one of those issues that it was in the elevator pitch, as he called it, right? Are they having some struggles with the insurance process? Because I do have groups that come back and say, hey, we're collecting our money 8 to 12 days faster after making the shift over to CareStack. Now, again, it's a little bit of that behavior side, but we just make it easier to put it in one spot so people don't have to jump around. So we can play to the strengths of, hey, we're doing a little bit more, we have fewer employees, so we got to make it easy for them to find things. So we're putting it in one spot. So really having that conversation to see if there's any way we can potentially help, and what they would want to change, what they're using today, where they might see some gaps, to see if CareStack can help, right? Because again, there's nothing that's necessarily going to be earth changing, right? That they might not be able to already do with all these disparate systems, but maybe they just want to get away from that to see if they can collect the money faster, book that treatment, do faster as well, to find those patients that have unscheduled treatment in one system.
Got it. Very good.
Yeah.
And we actually have a landing page available that we will put when the recording goes out for this live stream. CareStack's built a landing page for us for Crown Council members to grab 2 months free. This is just a landing page to book a demo, to connect with you, Dan. Is there anything that you want to add, connecting with you or answering questions when it comes to engaging with CareStack?
Yeah, I mean, come check it out. Like I said, I mean, you might not be thinking switch my software, but if you're sitting there saying, wow, why am I have this AR that's getting out of control, right? Well, why is it taking so long to collect my insurance funds, right? There's just small little things that we'll do inside of CareStack, like scrubbing a claim to make sure we're sending out the cleanest possible claim, so we're not getting as many denials. Those incremental changes are going to add up. So it might not be that you're thinking about the software in itself, but thinking about like, okay, why am I not getting more treatments scheduled? Or why are my new patients not able to schedule in more flexible ways, so like online appointment booking, et cetera? So maybe pulling out the software point and think of like, what are some of those things we could potentially help you out with? And look, if it's a fit, we'll continue on. It usually takes about 45 minutes to do a full demo of CareStack and to have that conversation to see if there's something we can help out with. Because if you jump on, Stuart, and you're like, you know what, I'm 100% good, there's nothing there that I think that CareStack can help out with, then great, we'll part ways, preserve that relationship, and maybe things change in the future. But if we find something, we'll go through and walk through the full 45 minutes and tell you a little bit more about CareStack, show you CareStack, talk about how we've helped practices in the past in a similar situation, to see if we can help, that practice out with that same scenario as well too.
Very cool. Great,
Yeah.
Dan. Hey, any other questions, Greg, before we let Dan go?
No, I just, maybe this is a commercial for the industry in general. I like online software. I like cloud-based stuff. And one of the reasons I like it is that when the update comes, it comes. I'm not waiting to update my system at the office. If you dream up something that is going to make it better and you release it to everybody and everything updates, and I like that. I also like the security of the records being someplace that isn't going to get damaged by my computer dying, or having a problem with my backup. Now I realize that means you got to be more responsible with your data, but it also means that it's one thing off my plate that I don't have to worry about. So kudos to you guys.
Great point, Greg. Yeah, you're putting it all on CareStack as a team of engineers to take that on. So you're not having to do those updates in-house, do those backups, and carry that burden, right?
Yeah.
You get to put it on our shoulders.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Good
Yeah.
job.
Dan,
Well, thank you. Go ahead.
Before we let you go, I got to know about your background. What's going on there? Is that just yeah? What's
My mom painted those for me, and I found them not too long ago after she passed in a box and put them up behind me and my workspace.
Nice. And the ore, what is that? Is that from something special?
No, the ore doesn't have a significance.
You got to get a story. You should say you were a scoutmaster.
Oh yeah, you gotta dream something up for that.
I'll have to cook something up. No,
Oh, yeah.
Good advice on that piece. Well, guys, I really appreciate you giving some exposure to CareStack, to your following, and inviting us to be part of your event today.
Thanks,
Been
Dan.
good stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Time with us.
All right.
Okay,
Have a
thanks.
good rest of the week and afternoon.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, are you ready for this? Round two. We got Brent in the waiting room. He
Oh,
is,
no,
he's
no,
trying,
no, he's gonna depress me.
he, get your,
Every
don't tell
time,
him-
last
don't-
time you had him on there, I went into a coma for 2 days.
Don't lead with that. So we're going to welcome on Brent Pennell. He is going to talk about email security, social media security. I am just so grateful, excited to have him on. Brent, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh man, we're both nervous and excited to have you back.
I told Stuart, when he told me you were on today, that I went into a coma the last time you were on. Had to go in and change all my passwords and
I mean, we haven't Brent,
two-factor authenticate everything, and
we haven't connected about I don't know if Crown Council members reached out to you or what happened since the last time, but I have never had more interaction with people from a webinar we've done in the past. So hopefully round two here. When we first invited Brent to join us, he said, there's no way I can do this in one session. So grateful to have round two here to talk about email, to talk about social media. And we're going to do it in a little different format. Brent's got a great slide deck that he's going to share, and a little more teaching rather than conversation today. So Brent, we haven't tested it, but are you good to share your screen? You ready to go?
Yeah, let's see if I can do that.
Okay.
Give me just a minute here. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Are you at home today, Brent? Are you traveling?
Oh, no, I'm at the office today. Thank goodness. So I'm at the office, and we definitely got an influx of contact.
You did.
after. Yeah, we
Okay.
definitely did. It was great.
Yeah.
I think I'm responsible for a significant amount of blood pressure medicine being purchased.
No
Uh,
way. That blood pressure, you're reducing it now. You're doing
That's
good.
right.
Here we go.
There we go.
All righty, man. Let's do it.
Very good. So can you actually see? Let's stop this.
Yep.
New monitors. It's always great. New office, new monitors, you know how this works.
I do.
So let's get into, and before I screen share, let's get into what we do and why. I'm sure most everybody has been on with us before, or hopefully they were here for the first one, but let's see. It's not want to cooperate, but I'm trying.
because you got 9 monitors in there.
Yeah, that's exactly. How did you know? How did you know that?
I have a secret camera.
I think
Okay,
so.
I got it now. This should be working now. Can you guys see
There
that?
you go. Good.
Good. Looks good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So
you're running.
people ask me all the time, and we work with a lot of dentists, a lot of hospitals, a lot of CPAs, a lot of defense contractors, and we always get the same thing over and over is, how do we stay safe? How do we stop worrying about this? How do we sleep at night? And I know from the first webinar, we did talk about a lot of scary stuff, but we're going to definitely get into that. I ask that you don't shoot the messenger. As I said before, you're going to feel the passion come from me. This is definitely what I'm called to do. We love what we do. We love protecting our clients. Knock on wood, we've never had a client ransomed on our watch. And I say that in the most humble way I can. But the fact is that most of you as dentists are already investing. You already have an IT person that's protecting your network, and that's great. But who's protecting your email? The most common cyber incident worldwide is a business email compromise. And so we're going to dig straight in. I'm going to try to, push through this. I have quite a few slides to cover. But you are under attack every day. And why is it that dentists are targeted? It's very simple. Dentists pay. When they are ransomed, they pay. Statistically speaking, hackers know that dentists do very well. They also know that you want to focus on patient treatment plans and the hours that pass when you're not able to chairside do what you're called to do. The probability of you paying for a ransomware attack goes up. But email phishing is how they get in to begin with. That's the initial foothold that leads to a ransomware attack. And so my challenge to all of the Crown Council members is, how are we safeguarding our emails? So we're going to look at this from several different perspectives today. Federal agents, how do federal agents look at this? We work with them very closely. If you know our history as a company, we do a lot with Homeland Security, Secret Service, FBI, CISA, you name it. We're definitely working a lot of post-breach forensic analysis, which allows us to determine or stay on the cutting edge of how hackers are getting in. So we'll cover multi-factor, some different things in social media, as Stuart mentioned earlier. So a few quick stats. Average cost of a healthcare data breach is 10 million. For most dentists, it's between 2 to 6. So I would challenge you, how many days can you be down? And how much can you afford? Cybersecurity is much cheaper than paying a organized terrorist, a sophisticated terrorist. So again, a lot of stats here. I don't have to bore you with reading those, but 90% of healthcare practices have had cyber breaches in the last 3 years.
Wow.
So from a federal agent's perspective, look at these stats. 81% have had an email phishing attack since January of this year. 81% of companies in America, or excuse me, around the world, globally, 82% of those involved human elements. The human element is the human factor. Hackers need 3 things to be successful: time, skills, and they're counting on you. And our IC3 of the FBI found that phishing's up 34% over last year. So the takeaway is phishing is still the most common method. Over 90% of cybersecurity incidents begin with email phishing. So it doesn't matter what kind of antivirus you have. It doesn't matter how technically advanced your IT person is. They're not trained in phishing detection and remediation. And so what we commonly see with breached dentists that have unfortunately paid ransomware attacks and paid the ransom, they're trusting that IT person and they had good network security, but their emails, different story. And this is a common, when I talk to federal agents and we work together on cases, they'll say, well, I have a Gmail. You know, the victim will say, I have a Gmail and it's safe. So let's step back for a minute and realize that email inbox, every mailbox is treasured for hackers, because I can use an automated bot once I gain access to see medical records. You see all the stuff on the screen. It's your world. But what people forget about is the login maintenance notifications. If you change something in your retirement account, if you change something in Open Dental, if you change something with your merchant service provider that collects through your website or whatever for your treatment plans, whatever that looks like, you get an automated notification that you did that, right? Because the feds require that they notify you of maintenance. The problem is, if hackers are in there, they're creating rules to redact that or hide that from your viewing. So if you don't know they're in there, you don't know what they're hiding from your view. So we see that a lot of times. You've heard, I'm sure all of you are familiar with rules. So let's talk about Gmail risk facts. And the reason I'm going into this related to phishing is a lot of practices are still using Gmail. It's popular, it's reputable, it's easy, but it still sends the user a red receipt, which from a hacking perspective, lets them know that you're actively using this account. So now I'm going to phish you even more because a human is opening emails within that specific inbox. But it also lets me look deeper with bot technology to determine, is it connected to mobile devices, your social media, LinkedIn, Venmo, Open Dental, and are you using that specific email as a multi-factor key to access something within the practice? So again, I could have a 3-hour session on best practices surrounding emails. But one of the things, the biggest misconceptions or myths, is that all emails are encrypted. And one of the main purposes of me showing the slide deck to you today is that's not necessarily true. Especially with Gmail, you need to make sure you're using confidential mode. So this is an example of what you have to do to make sure they're encrypted. When you send, if you're sending a Pano scan, right, to another dentist for whatever purpose, and a referred treatment scenario, if the recipient doesn't get a confidential mode notification like this, then you're not really sending everything fully encrypted, and it's not ultimately secure. They have to click on view the email in the blue here, and then it says to view the email, it's a one-time passcode. So multi-factor is available through Gmail. Again, if your recipients are not receiving this, then you're not using the security features that are built into Gmail to their maximum capability. And we can certainly, again, I could do a whole training session on that alone, but you need to make sure you're taking advantage of those layers. Moving on, multi-factor authentication. If you're not enabling multi-factor authentication on every single login in your practice, you are begging to be hacked. Begging to be hacked. It's that simple. You're also outside of what cyber insurance carriers deem as best practice. And if you're compromised, they're not going to pay. Again, if you're hit and you have cyber insurance and multi-factor is not enforced, they're not going to pay. If they do, they might pay up to 20-25% max.
Wow.
Once a clicker, always a clicker. And this is so true. We see it time and time again. And so how do you know who's a clicker? Well, that leads into ethical phishing. If you're not paying a group like Control Alt Protect, credentialed cybersecurity engineers that understand how hackers are getting past all the Microsoft filters, again, 10 to 15% of phishing attacks get past Microsoft's defense layers. So if you're not testing your own people, testing yourself, hiring a nerd, okay, to truly ethically phish you, who is not a organized criminal and terrorist, then you really don't know who needs training and who doesn't. So I can't stress the importance of ethical phishing. It also helps with cyber risk policies. It reduces that premium because they know that your risks or the probability of you being phished is less because you're actively training your staff. Social media, risk management. Man, we can talk about this a long time, but this is what I want our Crown Counsel group to understand. Those marketing companies that you're paying are cesspools for hacking. They're using Adobe, they're using Photoshop. They are not encrypting files. It is very easy for actors to use them as vectors to attack multiple businesses and entities. If you don't have the proper detection in place to stop that interaction between trusted vendors, it's just a matter of time. So social media presents a whole huge amount of risk, but then oftentimes the vendors associated with social media present just as much risk. And what I would say is that we really have to step back from a dental perspective and ask ourselves, who needs to have access to these social media accounts? And how secure are they personally? It never fails. What we see with major breaches and social media related breaches is the person, the office manager, the marketing person, who's also a hygienist, but is technically savvy, has been personally hacked. And then the actor moved quickly and used them to compromise the Facebook or whatever page associated with the dental practice. That's the problem. It's cyber hygiene. Your practice security is only as secure as the people that are accessing those infrastructures. So, you know, a lot associated with that. I know, and I'm not looking at the chat, I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point, because nobody wants to sit around and just watch PowerPoint slides. But hopefully you see, hopefully there's some takeaway there just from the Gmail perspective, and enabling that security stuff. It's very important. What questions do we have? This is our Ask a Cyber Nerd portion. We've done it before and had a lot of success. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the couple questions coming through about cell phones, specifically email. How is an email system different on a cell phone for an employee versus the computer? Should they, what additional protection is needed on phones? Is that a thing that changes? Yeah.
Oh, it definitely changes the attack surface. It's not, it seems to be very costly when you, at first, when you look at this, but when you look at the cost of the risk and the breaches, I'll advise all of our clients, go ahead and buy a separate cell phone for work for your employees, especially if they're using that from business purposes. Segment personal and business. We have to get into those cyber hygiene practices. It is imperative that you put something like Malwarebytes for mobile devices on all mobile devices. We've talked about that before, I think in the previous. But again, if I'm a hygienist or I'm an office manager and I am personally hacked, that computer, that mobile device is just as powerful as the server in your office because of what it touches, correct? And arguably, but if we're allowing our employees to use their personal mobile devices to check business email, okay, you know, we can accept that risk. That's not the end of the world. But what security parameters are being implemented for that specific individual? Do they have good cyber hygiene at home? You know, it never fails. I always use the little Johnny scenario because we've seen so many cases where the child is or a young adult is on an adult site or a site that's malicious, infects the home router, and then it's brought into the work environment. So again, I mean, hopefully I'm answering your question, but it is imperative that we segment personal and business and just understand every place we do that, we're only secure as our most weak link, right? That weakest link. And so many times I've literally seen in the last 2 years, more than a dozen hospitals completely ransomed because of a mobile device.
Wow.
Yep. And these are multi-million dollar, I mean, we're saying, you know, 50, 60, 70, $80 million scenarios. And the problem we're seeing is the class action lawsuits that follow. Is the patients that you're trying to treat and you can't get your Pano to work or whatever. And now, you know, it doesn't take long until it really adds up. And what's happening is that the actual ransomware attack is the smallest item on the bill at the end of the day. It's all the other items that add up associated with the breach that really make it so expensive.
And did most of those originate from an email?
Yes, sir. Over 90% of cyber incidents, and I say 90, I think the feds say 92. I think IC3 says 92. I say 90 because we get a lot of denial of service and that sort of thing. It makes us, you know, a little bit gray, but you could say the vast majority of cyber incidents begin with a phishing email. Because once they have access in the environment, if they hit, you know, if you got 4 people on email in a dental practice, all right, 4 or 5 people, one person gets compromised, their profile is now compromised. Well, we trust them and they work for us. So it's so easy to jump from that person to the administrator, right? And that's where you get in trouble. Because it's, I mean, they work with us. We trust them, right? They're our hygienist, they're our office manager. Why wouldn't we open a Word file from our office manager?
Right.
Or an Adobe PDF from our office? We were going to. We work with them every day. What we don't understand is that they've been compromised. We don't know it. Now we're compromised and the rest is history.
I feel better. Don't you, Stu? Do you feel better?
Man, here's the thing is my laptop, no, not my laptop, my office computer, so the computer that has everything on it,
Yes,
uh, our office was broken into, maybe 2, 3 years ago. And it was just, I had replaced my computer. So this old one was sitting on my desk. The thieves, they just took it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the computer itself, it won't turn on without multiple protections. But
yep,
if someone were to open it, the only thing that's on there that would be is my email. If they were in my email,
yep.
they would have access to everything. It would be an absolute disaster with that email. So yeah.
What's really scary is on average hackers, and again, you guys understand, I mean, these are facts. Like, this is not Brent's opinion, okay? We work tons of cases. Hackers have been on average within an email environment and within a network over 200 days. I mean, if I have 200 days to survey your email, and for all of us watching and viewing, all they need to do is go into your Gmail, go into your Microsoft, and type social security number in the search field and look at what comes up. You know, there's so much private, personally identifiable information within our emails that very quickly, and that's kind of where I popped that slide up, retirement accounts. We're seeing that's where there are unbelievable amounts of our North Korean adversaries are stealing from retirement accounts, and people don't figure that out until they get the early withdrawal notice from the IRS that $50,000 has been taken out of their retirement account. And they're going, how did this happen? Well, the reason it happened is because they've got control of your email, and your retirement account administrator is sending you notifications that your address has been changed and all this stuff, but the hacker's masking all that.
And you're not getting it.
No, exactly. And the sad thing is, if you're trusting your IT guy, you're in trouble. And if you're trusting the FBI, you're in trouble, because they had over 2 million requests for help from Americans. We don't have that many FBI agents, guys. We just don't. I mean, they're great. They're awesome, but there's only so much they can do. So yeah, you need a cyber nerd. It's just
cyber nerds. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, I've got 2 more questions about social media, but Greg, do you personally have any questions about email before we move to social media?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, we're not going there. I mean, I'm looking at my, I mean, that's how I save information. So I move into a folder and it's all in there. And
yeah,
I got some work to do.
Yeah,
we all do, including myself, right? I mean, that if we're honest, we all do. So
I'll just move it over here for a couple of days till I have time to worry about that.
that's right.
Then 2 years later, it's still sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brent, we've got a lot of high-powered young dentists who are building an incredible social media following. But I also know of some of these young dentists whose accounts are hacked, ransomed. A lot of them are being used for crypto guys that are trying to get you
crypto mining. Yes.
Yeah, crypto mining. And man, I even have a friend who had hundreds of thousands of followers, and that account is still not returned back.
Correct.
Maybe you could talk about recovering those accounts, and then also explain. I've seen this, and then we have a question coming through about cloned accounts. So how easy they are to just make a new account that looks like yours. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, there's a true fact in technology today. It's a lot easier to break something than to keep it working correctly and to keep it safe. I'd like to tell you and our audience that they can trust Meta, and they can trust X, former Twitter. They can trust whatever. They can't. But it's a necessary evil. We have control, protect that social media. Cloned accounts are very hard to recover. A significant number of security engineers and a lot of these organizations have left for various reasons. We could hold a whole webinar on that. A significant number have gone to work for Homeland Security. The highest paid federal employee is now cybersecurity engineer. Go figure. But the key, I think that the important factor is we need to secure and harden our environments on the proactive side instead of worried about how we recover them. When you're dead in the grave, you're dead in the grave. You're really at the mercy of Meta to recover that, and they're dealing with millions of compromised personal and business accounts. Now, that they will say, they being the senior engineers at Meta have reported to us and others in the threat intelligence industry that they are giving businesses priority on case management. But Stuart, I would love to have a secret recipe for social media, but I wouldn't be honorable if I said I did. There's just no good anecdote at the moment except securing your environment. And the key is, it's really not that hard, but it does require that we vet our vendors that are also plugged into those, that may be, dealing with dashboards and posting on our behalf. And it goes beyond what other vendors are, and dentists alike, and for good reason, have a significant number of third parties tied to their social media. And I understand the marketing benefits of that. I'm not saying don't do it. I know it's very lucrative, but we do need to vet those people. And there are some security controls within those social media environments that we can take advantage of to prevent things from happening. And that's the best message I can give. I wish I had a secret recipe. Once you're hacked and cloned, we're truly at the mercy of their security teams.
I mean, one thing's for sure, any Instagram account, I have multiple that you just turn on that dual authentication,
Dual factor authentication.
dual factor. Yeah. So
Multi-factor.
yeah, if ever the password is entered in by anyone, you have to do it multi-factor. So that alone has saved me, I know, at least once.
Oh yeah. That's why I said multi-factor. Duh. Like at this point, stop. All right, stop a treatment. Move a treatment plan from tomorrow. Take a 30-minute block. It's worth it. Just move one stinking treatment plan. You've heard my passion. It's really not, you don't have to break the bank to be secure, but you do need some guidance and some consulting to understand the threat model of each dental practice, because they are a little bit different, each one usually.
Very good. All righty, Brent. Very good. Brent and his team at Control Alt Protect, an incredible resource partner for you. We're going to put this recording on the crowncounsel.com website. Obviously, we're going to post Brent's contact information, but it's also listed under the resource partner tab in the Crown Counsel website. Brent, any other information about connecting with you for everybody watching?
I always say you can just visit us at controlaltprotect.com. You can always call 877-CYBER-911, 877-CYBER-911. My email is brent@controlaltprotect.com, or you can email info@controlaltprotect.com. And 2% of our Crown Counsel sales are donated back to Smiles for Life. So we're a proud partner, and we'd like to see those donations get more and more, but we're very thankful and blessed to be a part of Crown Counsel and Smiles for Life. And we'll help you. You need somebody you can trust in this day and time, above and beyond your IT people. And we'd love to earn that opportunity.
Very good. Cyber nerds. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brent. You're the best, man. Okay. We've got part 3 coming up. We don't have a date yet, but he's got more. So there's more to come. Right. Thank you for everything, Brent.
Stay tuned. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, Gregor. Looks like you know what you're doing this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get that Valium prescription.
And start deleting the 24,000 emails you've saved in your inbox for.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes beyond this, though. I mean, I remember distinctly years ago, the Crown Counsel talking about and reviewing the information that is even shared between our team that essentially has to be protected from a legal perspective, not just like, oh, I hope we don't get hacked. It's actually your legal responsibility to protect the information that you are sharing back and forth through an email system, whether it's patients or clients or vendors or credit cards or any sort of record. This is beyond oh man, well, I hope we don't get hacked. This is a legal responsibility we have to protect the information that's been entrusted to our businesses. So man, it is a great warning recommendation to make sure that that it's safe. That guy is
Yeah,
the
yeah, I'm gonna go do that right now.
best.
Gonna go start deleting stuff.
All righty, everybody, that is it for today. We'll be back to kind of a regularly scheduled program next week with our TOPS team and some of our great young dentists that have just gone through the Young Dentist program. We're going to have them on for some interviews to talk about their experience and the things that they learned and experiences they had. So,
Okay, everybody, thank
I think
you.
that's it for today, Gregor. I'm grateful for you. Thanks for being on. We missed Steve today. He was traveling today, but he'll be back next week. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.